Hi, welcome to SBR Sports Picks. My name is Peter Loshak. Today is Wednesday, November 28th. Right now, we're going to do one of my favorite segments that I look forward to every week, taking one college football game and breaking it down in depth from every angle you can possibly think of with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. Of course, I've been doing videos with Steve from collegefootballwinning.com for years, and it's always so informative to hear him go in depth, a deep dive into one college football game every week with here at SBR Videos. And today we're going to take a look at a very interesting Stanford-Cal game that is a rescheduled game. I'll be very interested to hear Steve's breakdown. Stanford is a small road favorite. Steve, welcome back one more time. And just once again, how are things going at collegefootballwinning.com for you this year, Steve?
They are going very well this year for us, Peter. We are currently 94-58-2. Which is beating the spread at a rate of 61.84%.
Very nicely done. Again, Steve's website is collegefootballwinning.com, and he'll tell us more about that at the end of this video. Right now, let's get into your thoughts on Stanford and Cal. And of course, Stanford wins this game year in and year out. I believe it's 8 in a row, right? 8 in a row games that Stanford has won outright. They're just a 3-point favorite here. Gotten bet up a little bit. The total's gotten bet down, which is kind of interesting to me in light of how improved and impressive Stanford's now starting to look in their passing game. With his quarterback, Costello, it's a kind of a reversal of form from Stanford offensively. We're used to them as being a strong, grinded out, gritty, defense-oriented team that relies on the running game for its offense, but they're really picking things up in the passing game still this year, and especially recently. Still, though, this total has gotten bet down from about 48 to 46.5, so that's interesting. And the question here is just, will Cal be able to do anything different in this game than they have done in the past 8 years? They've lost every time they go up against Stanford. They have covered 5 in a row. They're coming off of a nice game against Colorado, but they benefited from turnovers in that one. Stanford's a road favorite here. What do you like here, Steve?
Well introduced again, Peter, as always. You hit on a number of points, and again, I want to elaborate on some of them. I think, just as you do, when we think of modern Stanford football, which is to say Stanford football since the arrival of Jim Harbaugh, so modern Stanford football, I think we think pound the football, chew the clock, and play great defense. You mentioned a couple of those things. This 2018 Stanford team, though, Peter, is virtually none of those things.
Right.
So rushing offense ranks 120th in the country out of 130 FBS teams. Their time of possession ranks 65th, which is dead average. Their total defense at Stanford ranks 89th versus FBS competition. These are the worst rankings that Stanford has had since David Shaw took over as their head coach in 2011. So the question is, how do you beat Cal? Well, you beat Cal by rushing for at least 150 yards. Cal is just 2-7 since Justin Wilcox arrived as their head coach. When his defense allows at least 150 rushing yards, they're 10-4 when they don't. Gaining 150 yards rushing sounds relatively easy, right? I mean, after all, there are 83 teams in the FBS that currently average over 150 rushing yards per game. But Stanford is not one of those 83 teams. We already said they rank 120th in their...
We're hanging on your every word, Steve from collegefootballwinning.com.
So I already mentioned that Stanford ranks 120th in rushing yards per game versus FBS competition. They average just 107.1 rushing yards per game. In fact, this season, Stanford only rushed for at least 150 yards twice. Once was against Oregon State, and Oregon State has the second worst rushing defense in the country, 129th out of 130 teams. And the other time was against USC back in early September when Stanford had 3 different starters on their offensive line who have since been replaced by different starters due to injury. And USC, by the way, for their part, they ranked 10th out of 12 teams in the Pac-12 for rushing yards allowed per game versus FBS competition. How about California? Cal, for their part, they rank 3rd in the Pac-12 for rushing defense and yards per carry allowed. Only Utah and Washington rank higher in the Pac-12. And Stanford rushed for a grand total of 119 yards combined versus those two teams. So we do not like the prospects of Stanford rushing for at least 150 yards in this game. Bad news for Stanford, good news for Cal. Stanford is 7-0 straight up this season when forcing at least one turnover, and 0-4 when not forcing a turnover. When their turnover margin is positive, they're 3-0-1 against the spread this season. When their turnover margin is negative, they're 1-3 against the spread this season. So what does the turnover situation look like in this game for Cal? Since retaking the starting job as quarterback the last 5 games, freshman quarterback Chase Garbers has thrown 7 touchdown passes and just 1 interception. He's protecting the ball. Also, since Garbers retook the starting job at quarterback, Cal has gone 5-0 against the spread. You already mentioned last 5 games, 5-0 against the spread. Cal knows that their offense struggles, so they slow down the game. Cal's defense has allowed the 12th fewest plays in the nation versus FBS competition. And even though they've allowed the fewest passing plays in the Pac-12, they're tied for first in interceptions with 16 this season versus FBS competition. That's 3rd in the nation. Cal's defense also ranks 3rd in the nation for interception percentage per passing attempt. The 2nd best passing defense in the Pac-12 is Washington. And Stanford quarterback KJ Costello threw 2 touchdown passes and 3 interceptions when he faced that defense just 3 games ago. In the last 6 games, Costello's thrown 7 interceptions. In that 6-game stretch, he averaged throwing the ball 37.7 times per game. Now, if that holds here, and Cal has their average game of intercepting 5.1% of all passing attempts, it looks like Costello should throw around 2 interceptions this game. So good news for Cal and the turnover margin there, bad news for Stanford. Since David Shaw became Stanford's head coach, his Cardinals have dominated this game against the spread, going 5-1 and beating the spread by an average of 7.25 points per game, so more than a touchdown per game. That is until last year when Justin Wilcox arrived as head coach at Cal. His Bears beat the spread last year by 11 points, and I believe they've turned a corner with Justin Wilcox, especially this year. I like some of the less scrutinized metrics in this game, Peter. I like the fact that Cal's punter is pinning his opponents or the opposing teams inside their own 20 51.72% of the time, compared to Stanford's 39.62%. I like some of the program-changing behavior that I was talking about that I've seen from Cal, like beating USC straight up after not doing so for 14 straight years. Cal has lost the big game to Stanford the last 8 years in a row. It's the longest losing streak for either team in this rivalry, and they've played each other 120 times. My conclusion, Peter, I like the Cal side, but it might be worth waiting a bit to get even more than 3 points. As you said, this line opened at Stanford -2. It's currently at Stanford -3, and the Stanford side is getting the clear majority of the public betting, at least 65%. And don't be scared off by that line movement, Peter, from opening to close. Over the past 15 games in this series, the line movement has indicated the correct side just 5 times, and only 3 times in the last 12 years. And even though the point spread has been off by an average of 13.97 points per game, nearly 2 full touchdowns in this rivalry, which is higher than the average college football margin of victory against the spread per game. If this point spread stays where it is now and there are no significant changes due to injuries, suspensions, etc., we recommend buying off of this +3 for Cal to get this line to +3.5, even if you have to pay as much as -125 to get that half point.
All right, so Steve from collegefootballwinning.com recommends buying to 3.5. There is a 3 -105 right now at Bookmaker. Probably would cost a little bit more than that. If it never gets to a 3.5, Steve, would you recommend just taking a 3 at -105 anyway?
I would, if push came to shove. I believe at Bookmaker right now you can get it at -124, maybe. So right now, as we're recording this, I think you can get that 3.5 at -124. And as I said, get off of it at anything -125 or better.
Right. Steve from collegefootballwinning.com, you're so meticulous, and that is a big element of your success long-term in college football at collegefootballwinning.com. For anyone who's just hearing about you for the first time, tell us what you do and what your website's all about.
Absolutely. at collegefootballwinning.com. All we do is college football betting analysis, 365 days out of the year, even in the off season. We're a company that specializes that was founded on making betting recommendations using sets of algorithms, and we call those algorithmic betting recommendations our formula. The lifetime of the formula coming into this 2018 season was beating the spread at a rate of 60.66%. I already mentioned all of our betting recommendations, not just the formula betting recommendations. All of them so far this season have gone 94, 58, and 2, which is beating the spread at a rate of 61.84%, so even higher than our historical formula average. That's all good news. The bad news is we are currently closed to new clients. However, you can go to collegefootballwinning.com and you can join our waiting list, and we hope that you do.
Sounds great. Steve from collegefootballwinning.com. I love doing videos with you every week. I'm so sad when college football season ends, partially because it means the end of our videos for now. But I believe we're going to do a few more videos with you, Steve. We'll see what bowl season has in store. And once again, Steve from collegefootballwinning.com, liking Cal here, getting 3, recommends buying up to 3.5 if you can find it for less than -125. Steve, I'll talk to you again very soon, hopefully.
Thank you so much, Peter. Talk to you soon.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.